wondered what Peter's vision in Acts 10 really meant? For generations, believers from all walks, denominational and non-denominational religious systems, have read about Peter's rooftop vision and walked away with one assumption: God was declaring all food clean. What if Peter's vision wasn't about food, but about people? My book, called Peter's Vision, is a scripture-rooted study that re-examined this famous vision through the lens of the whole Bible. This isn't some theological deep dive. This is a witnessing tool, a bridge to understanding how the gospel opened to the nations. So whether you are Baptist, Pentecostal, Messianic, or somewhere in between, this book invites you to pause, reflect, and let the scripture interpret scripture. Discover the heart behind the vision. It's not about the menu. It is about the mission. So tap below and grab your copy on Amazon today.
If you're ready to explore the Hebrew roots of your Christian faith, then grab your Bible and let's get started.
Praise Yehovah, Shalom. Thank you for another day, and thank you guys for allowing me to share information about the ebook that we have for Peter's vision. I feel extremely blessed each and every day that Yehovah gives me opportunity to share his word and to do the work of the kingdom. This is Tuesday night Torah Studies, and we are in the book of Leviticus. We actually on chapter 22. There's only 27 chapters in this book, and we only have 5 left to do to complete, and then we'll move on to the book of Numbers. I'm excited as we continue through his word. Now, Leviticus 22 continues to highlight the importance of holiness, not only for the priests who serve before Yehovah, but also for the people who's bringing their offerings. I want you to pay close attention to each word, because these instructions were not always followed, first by the people and later by the priests. This chapter is a clear reminder that we must honor Yehovah's set apartness in how we approach him and what we offer and how we live before others. Yehovah is holy, and all who come near to him must do so with reverence, obedience, and wholehearted devotion. As believers, we are keeping in mind that we are a royal priesthood, and our lives are the offering. Our lives are the offering. So by studying how the priests handle holy offerings, we learn how to present ourselves in the way that is pleasing to Yehovah, set apart, intentional, and full of honor in his name. Welcome to Reconcile the Kingdom, where we're becoming in harmony to the whole word of truth. And I thank you for stopping by. My name is Patrice Robinson. I also thank you for those who'll be joining in the replay. Now, if you have not, and you just stumbled up on this channel and you have not hit the subscribe button, I'm encouraging you to hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up to the biblical content that I have continued to share and will continue to share, because this is the work that he has called me to. And I appreciate all return subscribers, and of course, the new subscribers are greatly appreciated. But again, hitting that subscribe button is the way we reach the nations to help them understand biblical doctrine and the dogma of man. So learning the difference and how to offer yourself as a holy sacrifice, how to live into holiness, all these type of things, you need to know how to put the whole word together and rightly divide it. So if this is your first time joining me on today, I invite you to search the scriptures with an open heart with me, with the family, the community that we're trying to build. If I'm inviting you to also just think about all the religious traditions that you have learned that we have been taught for centuries and be willing to challenge that. Embrace being a lifetime student of the Bible, and of course, without fear, explore the Hebrews of your Christian faith, because that's where it begins. Now, if that sounds like you and that you are ready, I'm encouraging you to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget the bell so that you can stay connected. Also, I'm encouraging you to use that at Reconcile the Kingdom through the social media areas and link in that direction and connect doing that direction too. I am on Instagram. Instagram is totally more, it's more about, there's little sound bites of teachings. There's also the Yehovah calendar that we follow, because we're in the third biblical month, and what we're waiting on is the fourth biblical month. And the next feast is the feast of, not tabernacles. I really can't keep that in my mind right now. So now I have to look it up. I almost said tabernacle. It's the Feast of Trumpets. So that's the next one that we are coming up to celebrating and looking forward to that. Now, I don't want you to forget at the end of today's teaching, you're able to ask questions about what's presented to you today. I'm encouraging you to make comments. I'm encouraging you to share the links throughout the teaching. I always say, what is the best gift to give someone that you love? And that is a foundation understanding of the Bible as it is written, and that's the whole word that is written. And I encourage you to share the link throughout the time that we are live, even doing a replay. Now, I hope you have before you your Bible, your writing utensils that you need. Thank you for purchasing your Leviticus workbook that's in the RK Biblical Studio on Etsy. Thank you for those of you who went into Amazon and purchased Peter Vision. And actually, I have another book that has been is on Amazon, and I haven't shared with anyone quite yet. Is this book here? The King is Born, and this is all about the biblical study of the birth of the Messiah. Of course, those who's trying to learn the difference between the traditional man Christmas and what is actually written in the Bible. So that's what that book is about. So thank you for all your support. I most definitely am grateful that we are getting out the biblical doctrines, the biblical teaching to people. We've been going centuries with traditions of man, and because we put those traditions of man before the written word as Yehovah wanted it to be, we're not walking in his standards. Just keep that in mind. Now, what I'm going to do first is go over Leviticus chapter 21, which is what we covered last week. Leviticus 21 is where we really start focusing on the priesthood of their duties and their requirements, I should say. So he says, speak to the priests, to the sons of Aaron. This was concerning ritual purity, mourning practices, marriage, and family qualifications for services. Yehovah instructs regarding physical defects in descendants of Aaron. Now, I didn't list them all. You have to go to the study. But there's blindness, lameness, disfigurement, and deformity. You cannot go before the veil. A priest with a defect may eat holy gifts, or the most holy food, but he may not enter the veil or approach the altar. Now, those of you who have walked through the Bible understand that this is really about the heart of a person. Because if you go to Isaiah 56, verses 3-7, which is the cross reference that we spoke about in that teaching, I want to remind you what Yehovah gave instructions to Aaron, to Isaiah, says those who with defects, I'm paraphrasing, those who with defects and the foreigners who keep my Sabbaths, who choose to please him, hold firmly to the covenant, they will be accepted. This is why we have to understand the whole word as is written. You cannot go through the Torah and not go through the prophets, the writings, or the New Testament, because it all truly connects. Now, I have a word study, a word in my word study that I did not share in the study that we did together, and I probably should have, because I realize when people hear holy, they hear perfect, but holiness is H6944. Kodesh means separated, sacred, apartness. So it really is about the person who is growing into holiness, starting to bring themselves separate and apart from the world around them and following the instructions of the Father. His word is holy. His word is separate from the systems of this world. So my application is, and though the Levitical priesthood require physical perfection, we now know that it's through the lens of Messiah that Yehovah is after the whole heart, and not the outward perfection, but an inward transformation. This means that when we focus on holiness, just think about this. This means our lives reflect the set apart nature of the one we serve. It is our choices, our relationships, and character. Holiness is not perfection, but a continued pursuit. A continued pursuit to honor Yehovah in all we do. It's a continuing pursuit. It doesn't end. We're continuing to pursue to honor him in all we do. I think if we put it in that mind frame, we will not put in our brain perfection. That we're living sacrifice every day to come into pursuit to honor him. Questions. Am I living like the one who is to be holy? So just our focus is on holiness. And again, I recommended reading will be Ezekiel chapter 44, 15 through 31. And of course, that is him calling the priests into holiness. And I encourage you to read that passage, as actually the entire chapter of Ezekiel 34. It's very fascinating, and I truly enjoy the word and sharing this with you. So Leviticus 22, there's a lot to reading in it. So we're going to jump right on in, and I'm going to leave my sheet up for a moment to give you opportunities to ask questions, make comments, anything that you need regarding what I just shared during the overview. And of course, if you don't mind, if comments come up, I'm going to allow them to come up on the screen at any moment. So I don't want you to feel like you need to be shy or any of those type of things. So we jumping right into Leviticus chapter 2. Then Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, "Tell Aaron and his sons to be careful with the holy gifts of the sons of Israel, which they dedicate to me, so as not to profane my holy name. I am Yehovah. Say to them, any man among your descendants throughout your generation who approaches the holy gifts which the sons of Israel consecrate, set apart to Yehovah, while he has uncleanness, that person should be cut off from my presence. I am Yehovah. No man of the descendants of Aaron who has leprosy or has a discharge may eat of the holy gifts until he's clean. And no one who touches anything made unclean by a corpus, or a man who has a seminal emission, or a man who touches any swarming things by which he is made unclean, or touches any person by whom he is made unclean, whatever his uncleanness. A person who touches any such thing should be unclean until evening, and he should not eat the holy gifts unless he has bathed his body in water. But when the sun sets, he will be clean, and afterward he may eat of the holy gifts, for it is his food. He should not eat any animal which dies or torn by animals, becoming unclean by it. I am Yehovah, and they shall therefore perform the duty to me, so they do not bear sin because of it, and die by it because they profane it. I am Yehovah who sanctifies them. So another thing that I do find people have a mindset that when they hear uncleanness, they think of sin. So you can be unclean and not be in sin. All you have to do is wait to sunset. You bathe and and at sunset you will be clean. So this first passage, Yehovah give us instructions. He give instructions to Moses. Now, these instructions that he's given to Moses concerns to the priests on how they are to maintain holiness when handling sacrificed offerings or his gifts. So the priests were warned not to defile themselves by coming in contact with any impurity, whether through ritual uncleanness, physical defilement, contact with the dead bodies, while serving in their priestly duties. If a priest becomes unclean, he must go through a period of purification before partaking into holy things. These commands are given so that the priest would not profane, defile the sacred offerings dedicated to Yehovah, lest they would be guilty and die. This passage most definitely highlights the seriousness of approaching holy things with purity and reverence. So, the first passage in this is understanding how a priest or someone of the royal priesthood of today can be unclean. So all the things we kind of read about the priest are the same things that also can make us unclean as people. Now, we kind of read about this uncleanness in previous chapters, but we now have learned how to apply the uncleanness. There's different ways that a person can be unclean, meaning that they have touched something that was unclean, and that you again bathe until sunset. Now, there is uncleanness that requires 7 days, and I forget which one that is, but we have went over it before. You just have to catch up with us. Now, verse 10. No layman, however it is to eat the holy gift, a foreign resident with the priest or a hired worker should not eat the holy gift. Now, it's important to understand who can and who cannot eat the holy things. Right now, if you are getting some insight, some understanding, or enjoy the biblical content that I'm sharing with you, I'm encouraging you to look down and hit that subscribe button and join this community as we are learning verse by verse of the scriptures so that we know how to live our lives following the footsteps of the Messiah. You cannot understand the fullness of the ministry or how to follow him if you don't understand the Torah, the prophets, and writing, which he said he does not destroy. He didn't come to destroy that. Again, verse 11. But if a priest buys a slave as a property with his money, pause there. Remember, a Hebrew can sell themselves into slavery to pay off debts, all those type of things. But they're not to mistreat a slave. Okay? Again, but if a priest buys a slave as his property with his money, that person may eat of it, and those who are born in his house may eat of his food. If a priest's daughter is married to a layman, he should not eat of the offering of the holy gifts. But the priest's daughter becomes a widow or divorced and has no child and returns to her father's house as in her youth, she may eat of her father's food, but no layman shall eat of it. If, however, someone eats a holy food unintentionally, then he shall add to it a fifth of it, and shall give the holy food to the priest. They should not profane the holy gifts of the sons of Israel, which they offer to Yehovah, and thereby bring upon them punishment of guilt, eating their holy gifts, for I am Yehovah who sanctifies them. This passage outlines who's permitted to eat of the holy offerings outside of the priests. See, people only think about the priests as the ones who eating the offerings. As we've been learning through the book of Leviticus, it is not only the priest who's eating it. Only those who belong to the priest's household, such as his immediate family or someone who's purchased as a servant, may partake of the holy gifts, the holy food. Outsiders, including guests and hired workers, are not allowed. If someone eats a holy offering by mistake, they must repay its value plus an additional fifth and return the offering to the priest. These instructions are given to protect the sanctity of Yehovah's offerings and prevent the people from treating his set apart gifts carelessly. So like everybody can just come in and sit at the priest's table. No, everyone can't. The passage emphasizes that it is holy. We must treat things as holy with discernment and with respect. Now, if we ignore, well, I'm going to say that to the end. Verse 17, then Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron, to his sons, and to all the sons of Israel, and say to them, anyone of the house of Israel or of the strangers in Israel who presents his offering, the house of Israel and the strangers, where there's any of their vows, remember, Israel and strangers to join in, any of their voluntary offerings, which they present to Yehovah as a burnt offering, for you to be accepted, it must be a male without defect, from the cattle, the sheep, the goats. Okay? Male without defect. Whatever has a defect, verse 20, you shall not offer, for it would not be accepted for you. When someone offers a sacrifice of peace offerings to Yehovah to fulfill a special vow or a voluntary offering of the herd of the flock, it must be without defect to be accepted. There should not be no defect in it. So the burnt offering, the peace offering. Those that are blind, fractured, maimed, or have a wart or festering rash or scabs, you should not offer to Yehovah, nor make of them any offering by fire on the altar of Yehovah. So you don't offer these animals, right? Now, as for an ox or a lamb, nor make of them an offering of fire on the altar of Yehovah. No, I'm sorry, I messed up. Now, as for an ox or a lamb which has a overgrown or stunted member, you may present it as a voluntary offering, but for a vow, it will not be accepted. Also, anything that with its testicles crushed, squashed, torn off, or cut off, you should not offer to Yehovah, nor sacrifice in your land. nor should you offer any of these animals taken from the land of the foreigner as for food of your Elohim, for their deformity is in them. They have an impairment. So if you think about verse 25, I guess I better finish it. They will not be accepted for you. This is where Saul messes up, because he takes the foreigners' animals and offer them up to Yehovah. So just keep that in mind as we get ready for 1 Samuel. Now, this is the third passage of study today. Yehovah gives commands regarding the types of animals that are accepted for his offerings. Both the Israelites and the foreigners who bring offering must present animals that are without blemish, free from defects or deformities, whether for vows or free will offerings. Animals that are blind, animals that are injured, animals that are disfigured are not acceptable, as they do not reflect the purity, perfection that that honors Yehovah. These instructions reveal not just any gift will do. What is offered to him must be best, showing reverence and wholehearted devotion. Now, the standard for offerings: only unblemished animals are acceptable, right? Only the ones that are accepted to Yehovah. But if we move forward, we go fast forward to Malachi, chapter 1, verse 6 to 14, we have a whole generation of Israelites and those who join in at a later time confronted for violating this very standard. The people were bringing blind, lame, sick animals for sacrifice, offerings that Yehovah already declared unacceptable. Here in Leviticus chapter 22, we have read this in other chapters of Leviticus, chapter 1, 2, and 3, about what's acceptable and what is not acceptable. They were taught on what is acceptable, what's not acceptable. But we get to Malachi, chapter 1. I'm going to read verse 7 through 8 to you. You are presenting defiled food upon my altar. But you say, how have we defiled you? And that you say, the table of Yehovah is despised. And when you present a blind animal for sacrifice, is this not evil? Not following instructions is considered evil. Or when you present a lame or sick animal, is it not evil? So offer that to your governor, he's asking. I'm paraphrasing that part. Offer it to your governor. Would he be pleased with you? Or would he receive you kindly? Says Yehovah of armies. So they were keeping the best for themselves, giving whatever they choose as an offering to the priest, and the priest was accepting it. The priest did not correct them. The priest was accepting whatever they were bringing to them, which the priests were taught not to accept it. If they did at the beginning and said this is not accepted, the people would have obeyed. So that's why, as a teacher, wow, there's a lot of responsibility, because you will be held accountable for what you teach to the people. So the priest was held responsible for what the people were bringing. And now the people are responsible too, because they know, but the priest was accepting it. So through the prophet Malachi, Yehovah rebukes the priests and the people for dishonoring his name, treating sacred things as common, and offering him what they would not dare give a human governor. So he says, so offer to your governor. See if they receive it. Both these passages emphasizes that Yehovah deserves our best, not leftovers. What cost us nothing? Offering blemished sacrifices reflects a heart that is indifferent, careless, dishonoring toward the one who's worthy of all the reference. So when we take this passage here, the third passage, and then connect it to Malachi, verses 6 through 14, it's a reminder that how we worship reveals what we truly believe about who Yehovah is. It's how what we offer to him, what we do, it represents how we care, how we think about him. Verse 26. Then Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, when an ox or a sheep or a goat is born, it shall remain 7 days with its mother. And from the 8th day on, it will be considered acceptable as a sacrifice of an offering by fire to Yehovah. But whether it is an ox or a sheep, you shall not slaughter both it and its young in one day. Now, I know Yehovah give us plenty of instructions on to follow. And there's plenty of times he does not give us the reason why. So we accept it. Just because people like to say, why he said this? Because he said it. And I know that's a hard thing to hear. But some places he does not give us an explanation and we have to accept it. Verse 29. When you sacrifice a sacrifice for thanksgiving to Yehovah, you shall sacrifice it so that you may be accepted. It shall be eaten on the same day. You shall leave none of it until the morning. I am Yehovah. You should keep my commandments and do them. I am Yehovah. You shall not profane my holy name, which is what we read a lot about. Well, you will read about when you read Malachi. They were profaning his name. So you should not profane my holy name, but I will be sanctified among the sons of Israel. I am Yehovah who sanctifies you. These instructions is sanctifying you. These instructions are setting you apart. These instructions is making you holy, not just by doing the instructions, but receiving it in your heart. Your heart of obedience is what he's looking for. Verse 33. Who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your Elohim? I am Yehovah. So, Yehovah provides additional instructions to safeguard, again, his offerings. A newborn animal must remain with its mother for 7 days and can be offered from the 8th day onward, ensuring proper time of maybe development. Maybe that person needs that, just like Israelite is circumcised on the 8th day. A mother animal and its young are not to be sacrificed on the same day. A command probably focused on reflected mercy and reverence of life. When offerings are made, they must be given willingly and according to Jehovah's instructions, not out of free obligation. This passage ends with a call not to profane his holy name, but to sanctify him in the midst of the people. Yehovah reminds us and he reminds them that he is the one who brought them out of Egypt to be their Elohim, and therefore he is to be honored. This passage also reminds us that worship is not just about what we bring, but how and why we bring it. Just as Israel was called to offer with reverence, patience, and care, we too are called to honor Yehovah with intention, wholehearted devotion. The instructions about timing and comparison reflect that our worship must be thoughtful, not rushed, careless, and routine. And I know, because I've been guilty of this too, in getting a prayer. I have to get my prayer in. And I had to stop myself and say, what am I doing? Help me, because I'm rushing this thing, trying to make sure I get my prayer in for the day. That can become such a routine, that can really, really take your heart out of what you are presenting as a living sacrifice to him. Today, sanctifying his name means living in a way that reflects his holiness, offering our lives with serenity, obedience, and love for the one who redeemed us. This is why prayer is important. This is why we're taking our time and presenting ourselves, because we are not only praying for ourselves, we're praying for other people. We're offering ourselves up for other people. The kingdom walkers, the kingdom believers, the body of Messiah, the bride, is not just focused on themselves. We are focused on the entire body. So we are to present ourselves as holy living sacrifices. Now, again, Paul echoes this in Romans 12:1, urging believers to present our bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to Elohim, which is your spiritual worship. Sanctifying his name means living the way that reflects his holiness, offering our lives daily. Again, obedience, serenity, and love. Let us honor Yehovah with more than words. More than words. Let our lives be the offering. See, people don't want to go in the Old Testament, but they want to say that they are offering themselves as living sacrifices. Does not know what that actually means. Living a set apart life, walking in reverence, presenting yourself daily as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to him, is intentional. It's intentional. It is patient. It is walking in the kingdom and keeping the kingdom first, even before yourself. I'm hoping that you enjoyed today's teaching, that before you leave out of here, that you hit that subscribe button. And I'm inviting you to join me on Saturday at 10 o'clock, because we are episode number 13 of What Did Yeshua Teach? Remember, there's only 14 episodes each season. After we finish that episode 14, we're jumping right into 1 Samuel. That would be our Sabbath day book of study this coming up, and we will complete that. You know how we study in the orders of the book for a reason. Now, Next week we will be in Leviticus chapter 23. Oh my goodness, I can't believe we almost through the book. I cannot believe we've been through Genesis and Exodus already and almost done with Leviticus. Looking forward to our study in the book of Numbers. I don't see any questions or comments or anything that I need to address, but I welcome your comments. Those comments are supportive to me. It also encourages me. So even if you just giving me a heart, even if you are just giving me a smiley face, an emoji, I welcome those because it encouraged me to continue on. I know I have to because I'm going to be obedient to what the Father has called me to do as my part of the kingdom. But I love to hear from you guys, whether it's a comment, a question, anything like that. You can send those during the replay, and I encourage that. So, as always, man does not live by bread alone, but man lives by every word that comes from the mouth of Yehovah. And we know that is the Torah. So I am so happy today, and I pray that you guys are just as happy as I am, or even more have that joy that's not understandable. So have a blessed rest of the week, and I will see you Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m. I really am thankful and appreciative of you guys. Thank you.